Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. So if you saw the last video, the Christmas tree is looking okay, but only okay. I felt there was something missing. So in this video, I'm gonna try and create 3D blooms in my Christmas ornaments because I felt that it's been part of my resin journey over the last sort of 12 months or so, creating those amazing 3D blooms, and I wanted to see if I could get some on the tree. So that's what this video is about. So let's get straight to it. So we're at the workstation, guys, and you've got voiceover Andy at the minute because the microphone wasn't working for the first couple of minutes of this video for some reason. But I'm going to be using this Resin mould, and I'm just going to be using these baubles because I've seen a few artists try with these bauble moulds to get 3D blooms, but they seem to have struggled. So I just wanted to give it a try and see if I could create those 3D blooms for the tree. I don't see why it wouldn't work as these are quite circular. The risk is here is they are very shallow molds though. So I am going to be piping, using the piping bag for this one. And I'm hoping that by using mica powders as well as alcohol inks, I'm going to get a pretty cool effect. That's the plan anyway. So I'm going to be using the Apex One Coat Fast Cure, and the reason why is it cures within 2.5 hours, so then I can put a back on these as well, which I think I'm going to want to. So the first colour is going to be this papaya and gold mixed, and then I'm going to be using the ocean white for the bloom, as I always do. And I've got this iridescent powder from Temu, but it's really annoying. They come in a packet and none of them are labelled as to what the colours are. So I'm guessing from the shimmer on that one, it's going to be sort of a pinky gold. So the plan is, as I say, to these colours mixed up once the resin's up to temperature, get it piped in the design and see what happens. I really want to get some 3D blooms on the tree this year, just because I think they'll look amazing as Christmas ornaments. As I say, I'm using the Let's Resin mould. All links to the Let's Resin are in the description, and a discount code for you, which is ccukresin. Gonna get the resin mixed up and then we'll be straight back. So we are back, guys. The resin, as I say, it is a fast cure, so you've got to watch it like a hawk. At the minute, I'm at 31.4 on the surface and only 27.2 on the base. So I'm still going to leave that. I want it to get to about 35 degrees. But what you've also got to remember is when you use a fast cure, you've got a lot less working time. So I've only probably got, rather than 40-minute working time, I've probably got a 20-minute working time with this resin. So I've got to be prepared and ready to go. And I'm going to try and put alcohol inks in as well as mica in these. And hopefully they're going to turn out really special. And they're going to be something that I can use year after year. So again, just keeping an eye on it. See, just because I've torched the bubbles off, it shoots up to 39.3. But I know on the base it's still only about 27 degrees. So I've still got time on my side. And my other concern with these is they're not that deep. So the concern is there enough depth for me to get the bloom in without getting the B word? So again, I'm just making sure they're clean. I've got a bit of glitter in there, I think, from the previous time I used them. But I want to make sure that nothing in here is going to interfere with those blooms if I get them. And I know there's a few people that have tried that this year, looking at a few videos, that have actually really struggled. And I think it's partially because of the shape of the mould and the depth, because it's not a perfect circle because of where that cutout is. But we're going to try, because if you don't try, you don't know. So first colour I'm going to mix. I'm trying to make sure I'm in picture as well, because I'm trying to improve my quality for you guys. Is this papaya and gold? And I've already got my piping bags ready at the side, so hopefully I'll be ready to go as soon as that resin gets to temperature. And as I say, with it being a fast cure, this one's a really fast cure. So within 2.5 hours, these will be cured and ready to go on the tree. Now, I shouldn't need a lot of these either, because let's be honest, there's not a lot of room in these moulds to put a lot in. So I'm just putting some papaya in this one. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the gold in as well, which is a metallic, which is a little bit heavier, which again is a risk in a mould of this size and depth, because there isn't a lot of depth. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of the metallic gold in. And for me, it just takes some of the orangeness away from the papaya, but actually they work really well together as a colour. So if you can see, that's my two colours in there ready for the resin. And don't be afraid to mix your micas, guys. Some of my best colours have come from mixing my micas. And then I've got this iridescent powder from Temu. And Temu being Temu, I got a selection of 6, but none of them actually say what colour they are. So I'm going to have to guess at this point, just by looking at the shimmer. And I think the shimmer on that is sort of a goldy pink, which I think will work. But again, I don't know. I've not used it before. And again, I'm just going to put a tiny bit of this iridescent powder in to this cup, which is going to be my bloom paste. So my white bloom. And again, I don't want too much, probably half as much as what's on that stick, and it's all come off, so it's all going in. Oh dear, it's going to be one of those. So that is my iridescent powder in there. And again, I'm only going to be maximum half filling these cups anyway. And then I'm just going to use 1 drop of the ocean white. It's normally how I get my best results for my blooms. And I'm not even, I'm hoping I don't even get a half drop on this. I just want the 1 full drop, especially since I've got the iridescent powder in there as well. So that should be enough. I'll tell you what, guys, if you clean your bottles, it doesn't go all over your gloves, which is amazing. Those of you that have watched the earlier videos know that I really struggled with my white, getting it all over the bottle and all over my gloves. So it's starting to feel a bit warmer now. And on the surface, I'm at 34 degrees. On the base, I'm at about 29 degrees. So I think I'm good to go with this being a fast cure. Because you've got to still give it time. And the problem is, some people I've noticed when they do the blooms, they do the fast cure resins, but they wait for it to get to like 38 degrees, 39 degrees. And by then, I don't think there's enough time for your bloom to actually work. So I'm just trying to, as I say, make sure I'm giving everything enough time. I've got my alcohol inks ready at the side as well. And I'm just going to give them a shake, just so that we are ready to go when we're ready to go. And the plan is with these is I want these to be quite bright, hopefully, especially with the fact I'm going to have that black background. So, one final check of the temp. .6 is what it's showing on the surface. So I think I'm good to go now. Feels a little bit warm anyway. So first thing I'm going to do is just pretty much 1/3 of the way up, I'm going to fill these cups. And I think that'll be enough, because I'm only doing these 4 small pieces and I don't want a lot to go to waste. And then next, I'm just going to pour this into the molds and trying to get a thin layer all the way around. And I do want it to be quite thin, because as I say, I've still got to fit these 2 lots of mica in, I suppose, and the white bloom paste and the mica and the alcohol inks. So I don't want these filling all the way to the top and leaving no room. I need to leave at least 2 mil, I'd say, possibly a little bit more. So I'm trying to half fill these molds and still trying to keep them quite even, which is always a challenge. There we go. I think I'm about there. So there's about 3 mil left on that one, 2 mil on that one, maybe a drop more in this one. And again, with my piping this time, I am going to try and do it quite thin. And I've got loads of excess here. So in fact, what I'm going to do is actually fill these cups at the side of me. But I think that's about right. So I'm going to fill these, because anything I've got spare can go in a drip mold. And those of you that know me know that I hate to waste resin. So there we go. I think that is all of that, 5 ounces ready to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is just use my silicone tool, because I can already see a couple of bubbles in those cracks and I don't want bubbles. So just go around the edges of your mould, trying to pull those bubbles out. Sometimes they just take a little bit of teasing, getting them into the centre. And I can see quite a few little tiny bubbles in here, but that doesn't worry me. This fast cure, as soon as you put it through a bubble removal machine, it seems like it puts lots of tiny little bubbles in, but they all do disappear, guys. And as you can see, I'm just teasing any bubbles out of the edges, hopefully into the centre, where I can get them with my torch. And any that I can see that's stuck to the bottom of the mould, just trying to pull them up. Now if I don't get them all, I don't get them all, but it's good to just spend 5 minutes, well, I haven't got 5 minutes, I've probably got 3, before these really start to set up. Just take your time at this part and try and get these bubbles out, because the last thing you want is if you do get an effect that you really like, or something turns out and you get a bubble in it, you're going to be disappointed. So I think that's most of those bubbles. So I'm just going to torch them. And again, try not to get too close to the edge of your mould when you're doing this. And that should be my bubbles gone. And the next thing I'm going to do is go in with my inks. So I'm going to do orange and I think blue, but we'll see how we go for 2 of them. But I want to take the lids off both of them so that they're both pretty much ready to go. And the reason I'm doing this now is just to give them a chance to settle before I go in with that bloom. So I just want 1 drop in the centre, and then I'm going to go around it with the blue. I think this is more of a turquoise actually I picked, but it'll look good. Like so. And the same for this one. I think it is it turquoise? Yeah, it's turquoise I went with in the end. So that is those. And then for these 2, again, I'm going to go orange in the centre, but then I'm going to go with this Sagittite, which is like a purpley red, I find. So again, 1 drop in the centre, and then just going around the edge with this Sagittite. Stops that orange spreading all the way. And then I'm going to try something with these as well. So I've got a lemon yellow alcohol ink out as well, and I just want to put sort of 4 drops in each, just to lighten the colour a little bit in certain areas. And I don't know if it'll work, I've never tried it before, but I'm just going to go in with 1 drop in the centre and 4 drops either side of it. Like so. And you can see it really does lighten up the colour. And then what I'm going to do, because that orange is probably going to be a bit wishy-washy, that's the term I'm using anyway, I'm just going to put 1 more drop in the centre of each, and then I'm going to swirl it around a little bit around these edges, and then that will be my inks. So hopefully I can move those out of the way. And all I'm going to use is just my dotting tool here, and I'm literally going to swirl these colours around the edge. Like so. And it's just sort of blending them in, so I get some different colours, different textures hopefully in the finished piece. And I've actually just incorporated a bit of the green, which I didn't mean to do in this one, but we will see how we go. And again, I love those different depths of colour already. So that is that. And don't forget, this is just the first stage of the colour. But now I've put the alcohol inks in, guys, I don't want to be using my torch. So I'm just going to mix up my colours now. And this should be that iridescent, oh, it's a kind of an iridescent pink actually, this one, with the white bloom paste. And it is starting to feel quite warm, but I'm liking that, and it doesn't look too heavy at this point, which is the main thing, because that's my biggest concern with this. So straight into the piping bag with that whitey pink mixture, and whatever's left in the cup I can worry about after. I've also got a premiere coming up in about 40 minutes time, so I'm just hoping I've left enough time. And then this is that golden papaya. And actually the gold's really taken over on this rather than the papaya, which is different. Normally it's the other way around, but again I think gold will look quite nice, quite festive colour. And as you can see, it's actually lightened up that gold from quite a dark gold to quite a bright gold, so I'm happy with that. Again, straight in the piping bag with that one. And now it's just a case of testing my piping skills to the max and hoping that it blooms. And as you can see, I know I've seen a few artists try this on YouTube and really struggle with it, so I just wanted to give it a go before I put this mould away for the year. And the moulds from Let's Resin, guys, you'll see the affiliate link for the US and the UK in my description. And also, if you want a discount code, just use ccuk and it'll get you some money off. So that's all I do in my piping bags. So that is that colour. Gonna get the gold ready to go as well. And I don't know if this is going to work or not, guys. It's the first attempt with this mould, but I just thought with the circular shape, it should still work. Should be in the operative word. So that's my gold as well, ready to go. So I'm going to go in with the white first, and I am going to cut this a little bit smaller than what I normally would, even though I still want to make sure there's enough for it to bloom. I'm probably going to go just where the resin actually meets the tip and see what happens. And if you've got your temperatures right, it should naturally just drip out, which this is doing. So I'm going to just go for it straight away. In that centre, well, that's a lovely iridescent pink coming through. And that's the first one. And that is pretty much my second one. And again, whilst I'm piping, I'm trying not to go over any section twice, especially with how thin this surface is. It doesn't give me much room for any errors. Normally I go with quite a thick sort of surface, which gives me a bit of room for errors. So that is that one, my first colour. And now I'm going to go in with the gold as well. And again, probably about the same sort of size is what I want. So I'm just going to snip off the end where that resin is coming out. And it is naturally coming out. So again, that feels like it's at the right temperature, just starting in the centre again and trying to fill in the gap. There we go. And let me know in comments, guys, do you think this is going to work? Or not? And I'm hoping that I've left just enough room as well, once I pipe this in, to put a very, very thin back on, just to really make them pop. And as I say, the biggest thing here that I'm trying to avoid is the B word, especially with them being quite as thin as they are. So there we go. That's my piping done. And now I'm just going to put my standard clock design in, what most of you have seen countless times. So pulling it into the centre, like so. And again, always try and wipe your stick in between, guys, because otherwise you're just forcing more resin into that centre, which you really don't want to be doing. And for these, I think I'm going to keep one as it is and not try and pull out the petals. I will give it a tiny little swirl in that centre though. And I think that looks quite pretty. But I don't see why it shouldn't work. It feels like everything's gone well for a change. And as I say, I don't see why these shouldn't work. But resin has a mind of its own sometimes, guys, and sometimes it just does its own thing and goes, no, I'm not going to work for you today. But I just thought if I can get some sort of bloom effect, those of you that know my channel know I've been doing an awful lot of experimentation with blooms recently, and I think it would look great on the Christmas tree. And if you've not already, guys, do me a favour, like and subscribe to the channel. Really trying to grow the channel this year so that we can keep this content coming out and a lot more of these experiments, especially with blooms, especially with different techniques, bubble technique, velvet technique, all sorts this year, hopefully. And the only way I can keep doing that is if you guys keep liking and subscribing to the channel, putting the odd comment in, sharing the odd post. You know, it makes such a difference to the channel. Lets YouTube know that hopefully you're liking the content, and it sends it to more people that might also like it. And there we go. And you know what? I don't think I want to pull any of them out. I quite like them. Decisions. No, I am going to. So this one, I'm going to pull out to the edge like that. And I'm going to leave one where I've done this and one where I'm not. Just to see which one I prefer, so then I know for next year if they work out. And then which one have I got a bit more room on this one? So again, just going to pull it from about halfway, just to create that more natural wisp on the end of the petal. And as I say, I don't know if this is going to work or not. It feels like it's working, but I won't know until it comes to demold with a piece like this. Especially with it being quite as shallow as it is. So that's it at this point, and I've still got roughly a mil of space. Now I am going to do what I told you not to do at this point and just torch the surface to get rid of any bubbles. The alcohol in there should have now settled and be under the resin as such rather than on the surface. And I don't want any bubbles to potentially ruin the piece. And that's it at this point. I'm now going to leave it a couple of hours to cure. And then hopefully I've left just enough room to get a back on them. And I'm probably going to go with black and glitter. So the spare that I've got, I'm just going to put into this rabbit drip mold that I've been filling recently. And I might actually have enough to fill him up here. So we'll see. But I'm going to leave you guys at this point, and we'll come back in a couple of hours time to put it back on, and let me know if you think this is going to work. Hey guys, and we're back, and it's been about 2.5 hours, so these are pretty much cured now. They're probably sticky to touch at this point, but it looks to me like they have tried to bloom, so I'm really happy with that. So I am going to put a back on these, and as I said, I'm going to go with black and a little bit of silver glitter in them, and I think that will give it a really nice Christmassy finish. But as you can see, I mean, looking at that, it looks like they've at least tried to bloom, so I'm just hopeful that they have on the front, and you never will know until you've demolded. But I'm going to be using the fast cure resin again, and I'm just going to mix up, I think, 60ml for these backs, because I've only got about 1 millimetre of space, but I just wanted to back them. So I use these little silicone cups, and the reason why is they're just a lot easier to clean once the resin's dry. So all I'm going to do is, it is quite hard to see your numbers on them, so I'm marking off 30ml there and 60 there just with a Sharpie, and that tells me where I need to fill my two different parts, because it is a 2-part epoxy. And as I say, the great thing with this one coat fast cure, and I'm nearly out now and I've had this for less than a week. But the great thing is it cures within like 2.5 hours. So if you're doing layers or something like that, or you've got a project that you know is going to take 2 or 3 layers, then this is the way to go, guys, because as I say, within 2.5 hours you can usually put on that second layer and finish your piece off in less than a day, which would normally take you 2 or 3 days. So I think that's what's really exciting for me, and it's one of those things where fast cure I wasn't sure about until I started experimenting with it, and the more I experiment with it, the more uses I actually find for it, and it is brilliant. Now you can get different fast cures though, not all are as good as this, so I do recommend the Apex fast cure. I haven't tried the one from Let's Resin. I have tried the one from Jiao Chun, and that was horrific, so I would avoid that one like the plague. But literally all I need here is enough to just put a thin back on, and there we go. And I'm probably, as I say, I'm running out of this stuff, so I need to get some more ordered. Really liking the Apex resins from Just For You Online UK.com. If you guys want anything from there like this fast cure, then use the discount code ccuk and it will get you some money off. So I'm not going to bother putting this through the debubbler. And literally I'm just going to stir it round with a little stick, and I'm not going to put it through the debubbling machine because I'm going to be adding black pigment, and whenever I add a black pigment or anything like that to it, I don't bother putting it through the bubble removal machine if it's going to be quite opaque, because you won't see it anyway, even if there is some of those small bubbles. So I'm just stirring it all around, scraping the sides, scraping the bottom, making sure it's all thoroughly mixed, as you can see. And I tend to do this for 2 or 3 minutes just to get it nicely mixed and making sure that that resin is completely combined. And then the plan is to, as I say, add some black pigment paste to it. I think 2 drops should be enough for this, and then some glitter, because strangely I've got this laser glitter, and I really like the effect that it had with the black pigment last time I used it, and I think it would make an amazing backing for these to go on the Christmas tree. So we will see. But there we go. I think that's pretty well combined. I've scraped the bottom, scrape the sides, and it looks pretty much crystal clear on there. So I'm going to add my 2 drops of black resin dye, and I just use this one because it's the first one that I bought from Amazon. It's from a company called Yum Craft, and as I say, you don't need a lot though, guys. Literally 1 drop, that should be enough for this small amount. And then I'm going to add some glitter, and the glitter I'm going to be using, as I say, I found it doesn't sink, is this Resiners silver laser glitter. And again, I'm not going to add too much, but I want a decent amount in there so I can see it through, and I haven't got my scoop with me, but I'm just going to judge this. That's 1, that's probably 2 scoops worth there. And as you can see, look at all of those colours in that glitter. and it's so fine, so I think that's what prevents it from sinking. But now just going to mix it all together with the resin, and you'll see the effect hopefully in a second. But look at that. That's pretty much the consistency I want. To me, it almost looks like a galaxy with stars in it when you mix the glitter with the black, and that's the effect I wanted. And hopefully it should be dark enough to just really emphasize those blooms if we've got them. It's still an if at this point. So I'm happy that that's all mixed together, and as I say, look at that, absolutely stunning, and all of those different colors of that glitter just sparkling through. So I'm just going to pour a very thin back on each of these. Just going to wipe my stick. And then hopefully, as I say, I should have enough as well to top up my rabbit drip mould I've got at the side as well, because he's very nearly full. So I'm looking forward to hopefully demoulding him at the or her at the same time. If you look there, I've probably got a centimetre left to fill. So I'm hoping to have enough spare after doing these backs to fill it. All I'm going to do here is just pour a very, very, very thin layer, because I've literally got 1 millimetre of space. And I just hope it's set enough for me to be doing this, but here goes. It looks like it's set enough. So I just think this black layer will really emphasize those blooms if I've got them on the front, and just really finish these off before I put them on the tree. And I don't mind if they dome slightly, because actually I think they look better slightly domed. There's that one. And I'm just praying at this point that they have bloomed on the front, because I won't know until tomorrow. And as I say, there wasn't a lot of space to work with. And I'm hoping I've mixed enough of this, because actually there's more space than I thought there was going to be. There we go. And look at these reds and golds. I'm really looking forward to seeing those. And as you can probably see, this is quite a thin layer, because I've only left about 1 mil of space. But I still think it will just finish them off better than leaving them transparent. Because if I leave them transparent, I think on a Christmas tree there's a risk that they'll just get lost and you won't see them. And if they work, I want to be able to see them. There we go, just going to leave that settle for a second. And then number 4. And as I say, I'm going to be heartbroken now if this hasn't worked. But I don't see why it shouldn't have. I did what I normally do in my 3D blooms, and it normally works, so fingers crossed. But as we all know with resin, anything can and usually does go wrong. But let me know what you think in comments, guys. Do you think this is going to work or not? So just making sure that all of these are completely full. And I think I could have got away with about half as much actually. There we go. And now just going to have a look around. Maybe one more drop if I can get it just there. Come on. There we go. And I think they're all slightly domed. And they're all pretty much full to the brim. This one can fit a tiny bit more in. But I think that is about it, guys. So I'm just going to use the rest to fill up this rabbit. And then hopefully I can demold him in the morning, as well as these bloom ornaments. Now it's important as well, I am going to torch these in a minute, but it's really important that you come back in about 5 or 10 minutes and do the same thing. Because if you don't, you'll get bubbles that form, especially with the fact you've put glitter in, and they will stay on the surface of the piece and they'll be visible, which you don't really want. So that is now full to the brim as well. And I've got the tiniest bit of resin left. Aha! I've completely forgotten about this piece. And this is a drip dragon that I started about a month ago and still haven't filled him. So anything I've got spare can just go in there. But I will come back tomorrow, guys, and we will demold these together. And hopefully we'll have a cool piece. But if you haven't already, do me a favour, like and subscribe to the channel. Makes a massive difference to me. Basically lets YouTube know that you're liking the content, and it shows it to a few other people that hopefully might like it as well. So if you haven't already, just do me a favour, like and subscribe to the channel. We've also got memberships open as well if anyone's interested in that, and that gets you early access to all of our content, as well as cool things like stickers, emojis, and even depending on which level you go at, even one-to-one calls with myself on Teams with any resin questions that you might have. So it's just something that I'm trying to do to be a little bit different this year. So if you can support by doing that, all you've got to do is go to the homepage of the channel and click join. It's as simple as that. There we go. Goodbye, bubbles. And again, whenever you're torching, guys, try and stay away from the silicone. So try and just do it in the center if you can, because the bubbles will try and form into the center anyway, and then you can get them. But I love that sparkly black mix of the glitter and the black. So we'll leave it there, and I'll see you guys in the morning for demold. Hey guys, and we're back, and it's only been about 4 hours, but because this was all done with the fast cure resin, it's fully cured. So I wanted to demold these before going to sleep. It's currently about 1:30 in the morning, but as I say, I really wanted to see what these turned out like, and if we got that 3D bloom in them. It was my first time using this fast cure resin from Apex as well with the 3D bloom, so really intrigued as to what we've got. But they've cured, which is good, and they're fully cured. They're quite solid, which is great. And I've got a couple of little bits where I over poured, but not too much. And if you look, that's what I mean by the black and that glitter. Creates an amazing sort of back. Oh wow, look at that for a 3D bloom in a Christmas ornament. I knew it was possible. As soon as I saw this mould, this is the first thing that came across my mind. So that is absolutely stunning. 1 out of 4. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Can't wait to get these on the tree. Wow. Look at that for a perfect bloom. Loving those different colours shimmering through, and then that black glittery sparkle in the background. And let's see if we can get the full set, guys. Again, slightly over poured, but I can fix that. Wow. And they just keep getting better and better. You know, I absolutely love these. I think I prefer these two, just because the colours are very me. Fiery, you know, reds, yellows, golds. They are stunning. And then these as well with the green tones. So there we go, guys. And there's still time if you want to do these too for your tree. Get this mould. The links are in the description, and obviously there's a discount code of ccuk, but I hope you'll agree they have been a massive success. So now just hang them on the tree, and I'll see you guys on the next one. But don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.